Hello, everybody. This is Shadow Strider. Uh, I thought instead of just uploading gameplay videos without commentary, I do something interactive for once. Not that it's going to get a lot of views, obviously. Share the video now. Anyway, I thought we would rank all the armor equipment for the bugs. I've got about 700 hours in the game. I'm not John Helldiver, but I know my way around all the weapons. So let's just get right into it, okay? Uh, I think we should. The standard Liberator, great weapon to start the game. I could think of no more description of balanced weapon to start a game. I think it deserves C. There's not much to say about it. I assume anyone that watches this has probably used the Liberator by now, and it's easily outclassed once you start getting weapons in the War Bond, but it's a great starting place against bugs. It destroys chaff, it's got manageable recoil, a decent mag size. Next up, Liberator Penetrator. I love this weapon. A tier. Okay, medium armor pen, same amount of damage as the Adjudicator per mag, with less recoil, and it comes in stylish white. Ideal weapon. Next up is the Sta Assault Rifle from the Killzone crossover. Top of C tier. It, oh my lord. Okay, there we go. Top of C tier. Bigger mag size than the standard Liberator. Unfortunately, has no scope and has iron sights, which does suck. But if you're fighting the bugs, they'll be in your face anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, it does not have medium armor pen; it's just light armor pen. But it makes up for it with a great mag size. Next up, our first Warbond weapon. This is the Liberator Concussive. I liked it when it came out. Then I realized it sucked after about 25 minutes. Trash. Needs a buff. Please give us a higher fire rate and make us give us a worthy weapon with a higher fire rate or more stumble. Next up, Viper Commando's primary, the Liberator Carbine. Again, another Liberator variant. It's nothing to write home about, but it is camouflage so the bugs won't see it coming. However, I find it worse than the standard Liberator. I think it'd be a cool idea to give it a grenade launcher or something to make it a little more viable in combat. Because as it stands right now, it just has a red dot sight, higher recoil, and a faster ROF. I don't think that really justifies it. Next up, the Tenderizer. I love this weapon. Uh, High damage, adjustable fire rate, absolutely obliterates light armor targets. I think this is a great bug killing weapon. It's even better with the Urban Legends armor due to that faster reload. Unfortunately, though, lacks medium armor pen. I'll give it high B tier. I would give it A tier if everybody was running Siege Ready. If you have Siege Ready, I give it A tier. Next up, the Adjudicator. I love this gun so much. Same damage per mag as the Liberator Penetrator. However, it sounds cooler, which makes it better. No, I'm joking. It hits like a truck, so you can dish out the Liberator Penetrator damage in the mag a little quicker because it's 90 damage versus, I believe, 70 for the Liberator Penetrator. However, it does have slightly higher recoil, but if you're willing to crouch and take your shots, easier said than done against bugs, I know, I would give it A tier. I think those two are interchangeable depending on how you feel about the weapon. Next up is the Constitution. Every 16-year-old's gift. I was going to give it F tier, but I'm going to give it D tier. If you are one of those like melee challenge people, I would consider that a niche use. That and the Stun Lance is a really fun challenge against any faction. Um, and if you have the Viper Commando uh, passive, it really is just a spear that can shoot, you know? And I think that's I think it's okay. I know everybody shits on this weapon and puts it in F all the time. I'm going to be a nice person and put it in the D tier. Next up is the first DMR. I know the Constitution's under DMR, but I mean, come on. It's a big stick with a knife. The Diligence. Light armor pen. You can fire fast. It reminds me of the carbine from COD World at War, personally. I think it's a C tier weapon, especially against bugs. You're stuck reloading constantly and you're getting swarmed by hunters. It's not ideal. Next up is the counter sniper variant of the Diligence. I think this is a B tier. Granted, you do reload a lot, but if you have that medium armor pen and a decent sidearm, you can make it work. Okay. Maybe a controversial ranking coming up. This is the Plasma Sniper from the Killzone crossover. It's a burst fire sniper. I know some people really liked it against some of the other factions, but I do not think this is viable against the bugs, even in a niche use case. Besides a charge up kill now and then, you just burn through ammo too much, so you're forced to bring a supply pack. I think if you have a jump pack and someone's able to get up there with a supply pack, you might have a niche use. However, I don't think it's good enough to make it to the niche use tier, so we're going to have to put it in F. Next up, the most expensive gun in the game, the Knight. The only way to get this is the Super Citizen Edition upgrade. It's one-handed, super fast fire rate. It really reminds me of the P90 with rapid fire from Modern Warfare 2. Shout out the old heads in the call and the not call. Sorry about that. Shout out the old heads. It's been a long day, guys. I'm tired. Great against chaff. However, where SMGs I think struggle against the bugs is they obliterate chaff, but if you don't kill the horde that jumps on you, you might be in trouble. I'm gonna give this C tier. I'm gonna rank it above the Diligence though, but below the Carbine. Give it a try with the Ballistic Shield. Next up, the Killzone SMG. Basically the Knight with a slightly lower fire rate, but it has more drip because it's the Bison, pretty much, so that has to go above the Knight. Next up, the Reprimand, Truth Enforcer Drip, finally entering the battle here in the tier list. Hardest hitting weapon available that isn't like plasma or anything. However, the bullets seem to drift to the right, but if you let them get close and shred them, I think it's fine. I'm going to give this a B tier, above the Diligence, but below the Tenderizer. Next up, the Defender. I love this weapon. I've always had a special thing for this weapon. I used to run it all the time back when it had first dropped. But now, if I have to run an SMG, I exclusively use the Reprimand for the medium armor pen. I really don't see any argument against this being in a C tier position. Again, though, it hits harder than the fast firing SMGs, so I do think it's better than them. Next up, I believe it's the Pummeler. I think that's the name. 700 hours, yeah. Anyway, this was insane when it came out. It's really lost its luster. I have not seen anyone use this since it's been nerfed. Like, here's the thing. It fires concussive rounds, but it takes forever to kill the enemy with said rounds. I would not put it in F. If you want to be like a dedicated, I guess, like stun build or something that occasionally can kill a bug, maybe D. Next up, we have the shotguns. I'm going to make these quick. I'm not a big shotgun guy. Slugger. Okay, I know I said I was going to make this quick, and I've already lied to you. I like the Slugger. I really do. I like being able to punch a hole in a target. However, I think where it struggles is the fact on the mag size. I honestly think it's going to be a lot of C tiers for the shotguns, except this one. This is probably the only one I'm going to go in the depth on. The Halt is crazy. Being able to switch between a stun and then pretty much like a free melting round, okay, is amazing. I love the Halt. I know some people don't like using shotguns, and I get it. I think the Halt's a good one to give a try. You just have to get used to. I play on PC, so I have to hold the R button to switch weapon equipment. I don't know what the gamepad bind is. I honestly think this is our first S tier. The Cookout, love it. I like fire rounds. I don't like the rounds reload, but I do think it's slightly better than the breaker. I don't know. I think the spread's kind of tighter on it. I think that makes it a little better. I think this deserves a B tier against bugs. I know what you're thinking. That's crazy. That should be A tier against bugs. But my only complaint that doesn't make it into A is the fact that it's rounds reload. And I've seen more than one person run this and they get swarmed by hunters and they can't escape because they have to do rounds reload. They can't just throw a mag in and stim. Next up, the OG Breaker. I miss when the game first came out because this thing was arguably the best weapon in the game. Okay. Um, I think it's lost a lot of its luster. I think I've seen it a couple times used. I think almost every shotgun in the game surpasses it at this point. I really do. Uh, I wouldn't give it F tier, and I wouldn't give it niche uses tier because it's a shotgun. I have to give it low C. The spray and pray. If you run the heavy machine gun, this unironically can be your primary. This thing destroys chaff. It has a great mag size. I think it's a genuinely overlooked weapon. I don't think enough people give this weapon a try. I'm gonna put it in C tier, above the SMGs except the Defender. I think that's a sufficient spot for it. Next up, the Breaker Incendiary. When the Breaker nerf first dropped, I think everybody ran to this shotgun and then discovered how good it was. I know there's a bit of an argument between this and the Cookout. I do think the Breaker Incendiary is better purely because it's a magazine. And I think that's better in a combat situation than a rounds reload weapon. Now again, if you have Siege ready, that whole argument disappears, and I think the Cookout's better. Purely because of the damage it outputs. Again, same with the Liberator and Adjudicator. It's really up to personal preference. But I do think this is better. I'm going to give that A tier. Crossbow, S tier. I don't even think we need to talk about this. It can close bug holes. That already makes it great. And it's a freaking crossbow. You're literally playing Black Ops 1. I mean, that's awesome. Next up, the Eruptor. If it was as good as it was when it came out, it would be S tier. I really don't see a reason to run the Eruptor anymore compared to the crossbow. I think it's now a niche weapon if you're trying to like have fun. Other than that, like I said, I don't see a use. So we'll have to give this. I'm gonna give it top of niche because I have a special spot in my heart for it. Next up is the Punisher Plasma. Pretty much firing plasma grenades. It reminds me of the Wraith from Halo. I don't know why, but if you can master aiming shots like over hills, it's kind of fun to be like the team's mortar. But I think there are better plasma weapons, so I'm gonna give this a low B tier. Next up, the Arc Blitzer. I know people don't like getting team killed, and I understand that. This can be a team kill machine. But if you work with a team you can communicate with, and you're the point man, you can stun lock just about anything below a charger. So you're great for keeping bugs off the team while they take the shots. I think it's a great support weapon. I think it's a great solo weapon if you want to run it alone. This is a solo Helldive clearing weapon as long as you bring the right loadout. I think this is top of A tier. The Scythe. Laser Bros. I know we are constantly spit on by the community. I love the Scythe. I do. I want it to be better. I have a special spot in my heart. I used it a lot when I unlocked it in the War Bond, but it's been overshadowed. It's not as great as it used to be because now there's just so much competition and so many better weapons outshine it. I think now if you run this, I think you're in a niche category of being a laser maxer. So we'll have to put it in the D tier, but we all know it should be up here because we're laser maxers. The Sickle. I love the Sickle. I don't think it shines the most on the bug front, but I think it's still great, especially on any planets with the extreme cold factor. I think that really adds to its effectiveness. I think this is deserving of a B tier spot. I know it's weird to see that above some fire weapons and all, but having infinite ammo against the bugs is incredible. Next up, the double-edged sickle. So I think this is the one weapon on this list that, depending your playstyle, it can really fit into any tier. Now, I run fire armor exclusively now and use the double-edged sickle. I think it's great. I love it. I don't mind the burning alive. I think it's a weapon that is kind of also a niche use because you literally have to run a certain booster and a certain armor. However, I think the rewards outweigh the cons. Being able to go from light armor to medium is great. Then medium to heavy is even better. This could technically be your support weapon. If you run the supply pack to keep stimming yourself, you can fight Bile Titans head on, you can fight Chargers head on, as long as you just watch your health. I think this is honestly the best primary in the game currently if you do all that. However, if you don't gear yourself for it, I can see it maybe being in the middle of C tier because your health will drain way too fast if you don't wear the right equipment. But this is my tier list, so I'm going to make the executive decision to put this. No, the utility of the crossbow makes it a little better than the double-edged sickle. Next up, the Plas-1 Scorcher. Plasma weapons are great. There's no other way to say it. Now, obviously the Purifier exists, and it does the Scorcher's job better. However, if you don't have the Purifier, the Scorcher is a fantastic weapon. It's an ammo killer, but if you run the supply pack and siege ready, you've got yourself a very serviceable weapon. I think this is an A tier weapon. Purifier, easy. We all know where this is going. Arguably the best weapon in the game. It was not that great when it came out, and they buffed it to high hell. There's not many lobbies I've been in the game on like Super Hell Dies where at least one person does not have that. Okay, next up. This might be another controversial listing. The Torture. I love flame weapons. I really do. I think they're satisfying. I think they're funny. I like to burn bug children alive. And being able to have a primary and then run a support weapon along a flamethrower is amazing. And it's one of the few weapons to be able to kill a charger from the front. It takes a while, but to be able to kill a charger from the front is incredible. If you're willing to be up close to the bugs with a flame primary, I really honestly think it deserves an A tier. But I think versus the Breaker has a little more utility being able to fire from further away. Because you will burn yourself eventually with the Torture. Next up, the Dominator. I have a love-hate with this weapon. I'm not the biggest fan of it. However, I hear it's a great weapon. I've used it like probably 14 times my whole life because I just don't see. Look, if you want to fulfill your Space Marine fantasy, it's like some kind of bolter meets shotgun, and that's cool. And if you run the Viper Commando passive for peak physique, it's really good because it barely moves when you fire. It swings around like a handgun. I think, however, it really shines against spewers, and you won't come across spewers every mission. If you're fighting spewers, it's a high B tier. I think in general, though, I think it's a C tier. I'm sure most people disagree with me. It's probably the one weapon on this list I have the least amount of time with. So we're going to put it in C tier. I'm going to put it above the shotguns down there because I think it's a little better than them. Okay, on to the sidearms. The standard, dare I say it, the Peacemaker. Yeah, make your peace when you run this. Uh, it's the first handgun you get. It's not nearly as balanced as the standard Liberator. Honestly, compared to every other pistol, they're better than it. I think it's trash. The Redeemer, what an upgrade on the base pistol. It's like a G18. It's great. It destroys chaff, and now it's light armor pen, but the fast fire will get any bug off your back. If you mag dump a stalker, it's dead. And if you nail in the head, you can get a couple. I think this is a B tier. I really do. I think it's a great sidearm. Next up is the Verdict. I don't really see a lot of people use this because the Senator is just better than it. However, I love the Verdict. Until the day I die, I will probably run the Verdict and Senator synonymously. If the Verdict's got no more haters, I've won. Okay, I'm going to convert every person to being a Verdict fan. It's got a good rate of fire, it's medium armor pen, and it's stable. I, I think it's a B tier handgun. I want to put it at the top just to mess with people, but we all know it's not, so it'll go above the Redeemer. Alright, the Senator. You can spin this handgun if you hold this inspect button. That alone makes it S tier. Heavy armor pen. Round reload, but also has a speed loader. Look, it's S tier. I love the Verdict, but I can't deny this thing is S tier. You could probably, if you played your cards right, use this as your primary. It's a great weapon. Next up, the melee. The stun lance is awesome. Okay. Uh, However, I'd like to just say right now, all because they're in the D niche category does not mean they're bad. Okay, but I do think a melee setup is a niche loadout, so I will have to put them in niche. But again, I should just take the letter D out. They're niche uses. Okay, I like melee. The stim pistol again, niche uses. The bushwhacker, it was cool when it came out because we had a shotgun sidearm, but legitimately think about it. When's the last time you seen someone pull this sucker out? I just don't like it. I don't see any value in running this over the Senator or the Verdict or the Redeemer. They're gonna have to do something to give it a buff. I don't personally find it good. I mean, 3 shots is not enough to fight off the bugs. Sadly, we have to put this in F tier. The Crisper, arguably the best sidearm against the bugs. It's a pocket flamethrower. I mean, that's pretty cool, I think. Do I like it more than the Senator? I think this is another personal preference. I like it a little more than the Senator, but that's because I enjoy a fire build. Grenade pistol. This is easy. This is an easy S tier. Closes bug holes, causes stagger. And it's a frickin' grenade pistol. Okay. I know I've said controversial. If this was a drinking game, for every time I said controversial, it would be sloshed. The Laz 7 dagger. I like the dagger. I might even say I love the dagger. Okay? I use it a lot. Again, I'm a laser maxer, so I think it's great. People complain about the battery on it; it's too small and all, but you can technically snipe with this pistol if you had to. It saved me more times than it's gotten me killed. I genuinely think this is a C tier weapon, and if you haven't used it in a while, just give it a try. I've gotten through a super hell dive with it. It can't be that bad. The ultimatum. They can nerf this as much as they want, but it's still awesome. Okay? This thing can do literally anything. It is a pocket precision strike. S tier. The Loyalist. The drippiest handgun besides the Senator. I love it. It's a pocket purifier with slightly less damage. I have to give this an A tier. Um, I really don't see an argument to why you shouldn't bring it besides the splash damage. If you're a plasma person, that is. I can see not everybody should run it. Okay, now we got the grenades. The regular frag grenade. This will obliterate a horde. 2 of these into a horde on a bug breach or something, and it does decimate them. I think the frag is a B tier. High explosive. If you cook these right and throw them at Bile Titan heads, you can kill them. That's pretty cool. That's like something out of Starship Troopers. It does have a smaller splash radius, as all grenades do, than the frag, but it has heavy armor penetration. I think that makes it A tier. The incendiaries, again, fire bias is coming out here. Another Steel Veterans banger. I think they're A tier, better than the high explosive. The impacts. I love the impacts. I don't think they're the best grenade. I know some people think they're better because you can just throw them and, it's an impact grenade. It blows right up. I think cooking is more effective than an impact grenade because, only because you can bounce it off a wall ahead of you or something. And if there's a hunter on your ass, you have time to get away from it while it does its little tongue animation. So for that, I'm going to give it B tier. The incendiary impacts. I think the standard incendiaries are better. The armory says they do more damage than standard incendiaries. I don't know how true that is. I think they do, though. But being able to just impact a flame on a spot, I think that's great. Again, another solid B tier. Stun grenades. When they first came out, there was nothing like it. But now, if you want to stun something, and you have the super credits, just get the halt. Now you don't need to waste your grenade. You can just use your weapon. Though I will say, there's probably still a niche use for a stun grenade. So we'll put it in niche uses. Gas. I love gas grenades. Okay. You throw them into a horde behind you and you're not going to deal with them for at least 7 seconds. Maybe even 10. Depends where they walk to. I think they're great. I think they're our first S tier grenade. The Seekers. If they actually seeked what I tagged, I think they'd be a better grenade. I don't personally think they're that good against the bugs. So, maybe people have had better success. Leave it in the comments below if you have. Or tell me how stupid I am with this list. Obviously, this is a subjective tier list. This is not the end-all be-all, even though I'm actually the best Helldiver ever. I think the Seekers are unironically a niche use. I can maybe see C. We'll round it up to C. Smoke. If you're bringing this, you must have clicked these by accident. Trash. Thermites, easy S tier. Anything you want to erase, you hit it with a thermite. Throwing knives. If you're a ghost diver or a stealth diver, I guess there's a use for it. I don't think they're that good. They do win in style points though, because I mean it's kind of cool to run around with a throwing knife. I think being a stealth diver is already a niche use of your time, so we'll put it in niche, but we'll put it above stun. And there we go. That's the list. Obviously, again, subjective. I'm probably wrong in everybody's eyes. This is probably, we're looking at it now, this is a really bizarre list. I don't know if I've seen one like this. But yeah, leave your thoughts, subscribe maybe, or like, or dislike. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright, take care.